Hey, Wimbledon World Entertainment, and with MGM and Amazon now acquiring the movie rights fully, they've gained full control, even though they spent an extra $1 billion to do so, to get James Bond. Fans are now pushing not just for the likes of Henry Cavill to take over the role, but they actually want, once again, Pierce Brosnan to return. Now, we heard this idea being pitched last year, when people were saying, hey, Amazon, give Pierce Brosnan one more outing, do an old man Bond. And everybody's like, that'd be really cool. Well, Pierce Brosnan himself has now actually responded to this idea. And he's interested, but it doesn't sound like, I think he sees the writing on the wall. It's like, yeah, Amazon are never going to go for it, basically. But we'll have a look at what he says anyway and what this article talks about. But everyone, I think, is in agreement that they would love to see one more outing for Old Man Bond. Now, of course, in doing that, you're removing Casino Royale and all that stuff, which they're not separate from all these other movies anyway, because they were when Bond started out and they turned him into a pussy, basically. But we all pretty much would love to see one more proper outing for Pierce Brosnan, because he was kind of done dirty with how they dropped him and stuff. But anyway, this says, Pierce Brosnan has addressed the possibility of returning as James Bond. The Bond franchise is currently going through a period of transition following the retirement of longtime producers Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli. In February, Wilson and Broccoli announced they would be signing over creative control of the Bond movies to Amazon MGM Studios after more than 60 years of their family ownership. Bond is currently without a leading man due to Daniel Craig walking away following the release of No Time to Die in 2021. Well, it's not exactly that he walked away, it's he fulfilled his contract and they blew him up. He's not exactly going to be returning, is he? Unless he's the T-1000 and just morphs back together. Morons. But anyway, it says some fans have encouraged Amazon MGM to look to Bond's past for its new movie, with strong support among fan circles for Brosnan to play the super spy once again. Brosnan debuted as James Bond in 1995's GoldenEye and held onto the role for 4 films total before stepping away in 2002. GQ recently discussed the fan campaign for Brosnan with the man himself, and he confirmed that he's heard many Bond fans would like him back. Now, before I just read his statement, it's crazy to think GoldenEye is 30 years old this year. I think, if I remember correctly, it came out in, like, was it May or June? I think it was like May, possibly, of 95. Actually, it might have been November of 95. Either way, it came out in 1995. The movie's going to be 30 years old this year. That's insane. It still holds up and is regarded as one of, if not the best, James Bond movies. And at them saying, oh yeah, Pierce Brosnan stepped away. Again, Barbara Broccoli and her brother pretty much dropped him and didn't even tell him until they announced we're looking for a new Bond. That's how Pierce Brosnan found out. I'll never forget that, because I remember him going like, yeah, I know this last movie didn't do great, but they could have at least told me that they were looking for new blood. But anyway, his response to his saying he has heard the fans wanting him back says, of course I'd want to. How could I not be interested? However, Brosnan suggested a Bond comeback may not be likely now because Wilson and Broccoli, the producers who were instrumental in his casting, have sold their rights. Instead of rights, that should say souls, because that's what they basically did. They sold their souls. It's like, hey, this has been part of our family for 60 years and we're going to sell it for $1 billion to these people we think are idiots and don't know what to do with it. It's just mind-blowing. So it continues anyway saying, it's a delicate situation now. By the way, this is Pierce Brosnan saying this. It's a delicate situation now. I think it's best to let sleeping dogs lie, really. I think so, he argued. It's a rather romantic notion and idea, but I think everything changes. Everything falls apart. I think that it's best left to another man, really. Fresh blood. So When Amazon MGM announced its purchase of the Bond franchise on February 20th, Broccoli offered insight on why she'd walked away after dedicating most of her career to the franchise. It's just funny, wait till you hear what she actually says. This is her reasoning for leaving James Bond in the hands of Amazon. She said, "My life has been dedicated to maintaining and building upon the extraordinary legacy that was handed to Michael and me by our father, producer Chubby Broccoli." Chubby, by the way, was his nickname. I can't actually think of what his first name. I think it was Jim. It was something like that. I can't remember what his actual name was. She said, "I have had the honor of working closely with 4 of the tremendously talented actors who have played 007 and thousands of wonderful artists within the industry. With the conclusion of No Time to Die and Michael retiring from the films, I feel it is time to focus on my other projects." Isn't that very nice? Except for the reality is, Amazon gave us $1 billion. Screw that if we're sticking around to work with these morons. That's the real reason they walked away. It's not because she was like, "Oh, I dedicated all my time and blah, blah, blah." It's like, you've literally just said how this extraordinary legacy was handed to you by your father, and you were so easily swayed to give it up by $1 billion. Just imagine the money you could have kept making if you kept control of it, you donkey. But no, they gave it up. But the idea of Pierce Brosnan coming back for one more outing, that would be great. I just see here actually it gives the date for when GoldenEye came out. November 17th, 1995. So 17th of November this year, GoldenEye will be officially 30 years old. Then Tomorrow Never Dies came out on December 12th of 97. I don't think that's right, because I remember getting the VHS tape of Tomorrow Never Dies for Christmas. Or was it No, I'm pretty sure it was for Christmas. The World Is Not Enough came out on November 19th, 1999. And Die Another Day came out on November 20th, 2002. They were, by the way, all the Pierce Brosnan movies, just in case people were like, what? So, will he return? He's absolutely open to it, and clearly would enjoy coming back, but he sees the writing on the wall that it's the case of, Amazon would never go for it. And unfortunately, he's right. The same way the idea of all of us going, we want Henry Cavill to be James Bond. We all know Amazon are never going to do that. Because why? Because it's under Jennifer Salke now, and she doesn't like masculinity because she's a moron. But there you go, there's the story, and Pierce Brosnan has officially commented on the idea of his return as James Bond 007. So with that, I shall leave it there for this one. Like, share, subscribe. Let us know what you think of Pierce Brosnan coming back for one more outing. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.